and welcome to Into the Light. I'm your host, Edina Mauvana. Today we have Robert Burry, aka Rawb Love. He's founder, coach, and CEO of Conscious Pros. Rob is dedicated to helping individuals align their professional pursuits with personal growth. His mission as CEO of Conscious Pros is to redefine business transformation while focusing on mindfulness and conscious evolution. Rob's unique approach merges business acumen with spiritual wisdom, creating the foundation for personal and professional success. He's a conscious coach with over 20 years of experience, a happiness fulfillment specialist, and a torchbearer for self-mastery, believing that true transformation starts from within. I love that, Rob. Nice to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Love it.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you want?
Awesome. Wow. Huh?
Yeah. Oh,
That
what
was
do you
a
want to
lot
talk
of that
about? Let's do this.
introduction. Yeah. I know you do so many amazing things, and I'm so glad that I've got to know you even on a personal level, kind of outside of this call and interview. We've been connected on LinkedIn and on social media, and I love the work you're doing with Conscious Pros. And we both seem to have this affinity for unity consciousness and conscious-led businesses and spirituality focused work in the world. So I'm just so glad that we connected, because I feel honored that you're here as a guest on my show, and you can tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
Oh, thanks. So really, I mean, yes, I have Conscious Pros, right? But I also have this coaching practice where I focus on helping people in relationship and self-mastery, or ascension. I mean, because really
Yeah.
we're all on that path. And so we can package it however we want to, but it's just something we're trying to affect change in our life,
Right.
whatever that is. And so it really all, to me, it really all boils down to consciousness. So no matter how you want to look at that, the thing that's in the way is always going to be what's in here. Because if we already had the wiring for it, it would already be in our life. But because we don't particularly have the wiring for it, that's where we need to do different things to be able to disable this autopilot thing that's going on.
Right.
And then from there, we can look at some of basically the wiring ends up presenting itself at that point. So
yeah, well,
yeah,
it sounds like you're, what did I say, happiness fulfillment specialist. So that to me sounds like you'd be, I guess it's like you said, like a rewiring to put us into our happiness state, right? At all times, as much as possible, I guess, in order to kind of vibe at that frequency and attract things that are at these higher levels of states of being. So I love that you do that work, and that's really part of your self-mastery program that you offer.
Thanks. Yeah, I like to simplify it to people. Like if you went and lived at a Zen Buddhist monastery for 50 years, right? And you meditated 10 hours a day. You're scrubbing floors, you're meditating, you're focusing. These people, when they do this kind of a thing, they become very, very quiet in their mind. They become very clear, like that. This is all documented, right? And these people are really pretty blissful. They go from around 10 to 40,000 thoughts a day to around 800 or so.
Oh yeah, we're
right?
reducing that hamster wheel big time.
Yes. And we know that happiness is not because of our external experience. It's based off of our internal experience. And that is something that you can program and change and habituate. You can do this. Now, you don't have to do 50 years in a Zen Buddhist monastery, because in that space, what's on the other side of that? So let's say it's been 50 years and you did it and you had that experience. What's on 50 years in day one? It's an all the time practice. Every moment carries focused intention. When you live from that place, then you can really start shifting your experience of it, because that's really what we're talking about. Everything is, we're talking about what is your experience of it. And that's where we can become like master spin artists, right? And people that don't meditate, or they haven't done work around this, they might think that sounds like you're just trying to fake yourself into something. No, when you really do practice these things, you set up, and it's simplified practices, really. You do these basic, simple practices. You get into resourceful physiology. You pay attention to your breathing. You drop into this now moment. Like, we can do that. What's something you can put your attention upon in this now moment? It's anything, but you're dropping into this now moment. You're not in the past. You're not in the future. You're here now. From that space, like sitting up straight. We know that if we sit up straight just 2 minutes a day, right? That's lowering like our cortisol by like 20%, increasing our testosterone. And that's something that we want in both genders, all genders, However you want to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are beneficial things. So we get this resourceful physiology, diaphragmatic belly breaths, right? We're getting into our rest and digest. We're not in fight, flight, or freeze or fighting against something. Now we can actually do something. We can start putting our attention on what we're grateful for. That's why they, in spirituality, mindfulness, any of that, it's always about what are you grateful for? Because you're shifting it, you're shifting your perspective, you're training your reticular activating system to start filtering for more of that kind of stuff. Because we know
Right. It's
that,
like regulating
yes,
our nervous system as part of that too, and taking that pause time between reacting versus responding versus reacting. We hear a lot about that these days in this
yep.
process of, creating that space.
And most of us have ourselves or been programmed to the space of practicing fear, separation, and lack. This is
Right.
like, but this is old world stuff as us in the spiritual communities understand. What we're moving towards is love and unity, which community is what unity kind of is, and abundance for all on the planet. We have more than enough resources. We really do. We really do
Yeah.
for everyone. There's just been
Well,
some funky stuff going on, right? So
yeah. Well, I love the optimistic outlook, that because I do think that is leading us into our abundance mindset programming versus that program of lack and fear and scarcity. And we do have an abundant planet that we can heal through, just like we're healing everything in our own selves. And so tell me a little bit about how you work with the halos, like the healers, the artists, light workers. You're doing a lot in the world of like building up the businesses and things that people need as they're launching into their spiritually led businesses and practices. I know you and I have been talking about ads and how we scale our business and things like that. So tell me a little bit about how you're doing this work for light workers and this community.
yeah, so it really is, the articulation of it is really pretty much the same. We get very clear about what outcome we want, whatever that is, in our business, in our relationship, in our life, whatever that is. Then we also get really honest about where we're at, right? We're not trying to pretend that things aren't the way they are. We're not going to keep our attention there. That's negative focus. We're going to keep our attention on what we want. Then as we're creating that movement, the obstacles will present themselves, right? Or like in Stoicism, they say the obstacle is the opportunity, right? So we look at it as kind of, these are opportunities. These are things that are trying to show you how to get there. Now, again, whether it's relationship or business or anything, that is the articulation of it, because the average person is on autopilot, even though they don't realize it. They're on autopilot around 95% of the time. So that means if you had an 8-hour workday and your intention was to start at 9 o'clock and end at 5, and you're going to stay conscious, the average person won't even make it a half an hour. They're going to make it 24 minutes of being conscious. The rest of it is all just autopilot. And that's whatever's programmed in here. So that's
Right.
whatever is have been habituated, and also actually what we've observed, and social engineering and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I see it as just being very simplified as far as that goes. And that is the major, I would say, difference, and the thing that is not addressed. When we talk about top level coaches and stuff, one, you have to be able to see what the challenges or obstacles are. Now, we know that most of communication is all nonverbal in nature, or for those of us that are sensitive to energy, we're not only seeing the nonverbals or something like that, we're also feeling the energy of it. We're getting these congruent hits. So in that space, then once you have the information, then you have to have the skill to be able to deliver it in a way where the other person can receive it and do something about it. And as far as like top level coach goes, these people that are worth $1,000, $2,000 an hour and beyond, is they're just really able to observe and deliver in a way that it produces an epiphany, a moment of clarity, something like that. That's what top level coaches do. And that's their skill set.
Right.
That's why when you talk about a lot of people that are sensitive to energy and things like that, like yourself and me and myself, that's why we can be so incredibly effective because when you look at the rest of the world and what they're doing, they're saying everybody fits into this particular, well, if you do these ads and you do it in this particular way and you do this thing, you're going to produce results. That's not occurring. That like all the way of doing things as far as that goes isn't working in the same way. So
Right. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of difficulties with
right.
the old, I guess some people like it's like old school bro marketing tactics and techniques versus more, I think what you're aligning to with different different ways of inviting in and attracting business and generating the networking and all of that, right?
Yeah. And so any of that stuff can particularly work once you get into full alignment. And then so you also have the really spiritual people that they're just up here. They're not bringing things all the way down into like manifested physical reality. They
Right.
get kind of duped into this thing of like, and I'm not saying this can't be the thing that works, the last final thing that actually works when somebody manifests something, but you're not going to pour something water into one glass, put your attention upon it, and then that's like master level manifester. So the thing with the water glasses, you got two water glasses and you have an intention in one, and then you bump
When it
into the
over,
other one. What's
yeah, and
that?
it overfills. And is it about the containment and an overfilling
No,
process?
there's this thing that's out there in social media and stuff, and it just I guess the short version just say people have this idea that you're going to instantly manifest things. That is
Yeah.
not how things work. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's all just elbow grease and that's how you make things happen now. No, everything has to be in alignment.
Yeah, and you have to have a structured plan or a cohesive, like coherent
Right.
path to get there, a strategy built out. So a lot of that is really involved work that takes 6 months, a year, 2 years to build out for
Well,
these
it
businesses.
can. I'm doing that kind of work in 4 to 6 weeks
Oh,
as far
that's
as
awesome. Yeah.
craft.
So what are you doing for your clients? Like it sounds like you help from a not only merging the business side and understanding how to grow and scale, but obviously targeting spirituality led, these halo type of businesses. So what is it that you are offering to help or to really scale them in this way?
So there's a lot of there's several key elements, and so I've distilled marketing, the actual like the marketing sequence, the formula, the things that really make the difference that you need. And it's not to say that those things are particularly complicated, but getting it fully into alignment with what you're presenting, that's a bit of an art form, right? Getting your messaging right, things like that.
Yeah.
But if you're not tapping into your non-conscious, what your potential blocks are, and also what is actually motivating your buyer, your potential star client, as I like to refer to it, as what's motivating them on a non-conscious level, meaning they're not aware of it. Okay. And this is all backed by Gerald Zaltman, a Harvard business guru, top level, backed by the scientific community that says that 95% of the reasons or what actually motivates somebody to buy anything is non-conscious or
Mhm.
unconscious.
Yeah, it's
They
like
say
emotionally
unconscious.
driven too. Yeah.
It is, but it's emotional transformation that they're not necessarily aware of. So
Mm.
your website, your messaging, all that kind of stuff needs to resonate with the emotional transformation that they
Right.
want. And if you're ignoring that, and everything is communicating something. So like when we look at like as we're talking right now, that's nonverbal communication, like 93% is nonverbal, but they don't really talk. I mean, few people talk about this. You usually need to get into like big business with lots of like people with lots of degrees behind their belt that really, and you're spending, multiple six figures to get this kind of information. So it has not been accessible to small business and all that. But it's the actual like mechanics of why people buy and how you establish rapport and things like that. When
Mm.
you look at like just like a web page or something along those lines, I like to refer to that as the non-textual elements, because those are the things that are actually influencing people where they feel resonant or in alignment or something like that.
Right. Total. Yeah.
Because
And
that's what's
so
particularly speaking to them.
So you focus a lot on the importance of small businesses. Tell me a little bit about that because I know when we've talked before, it's been like, oh, they're the backbone or 60. It's such a focus to help that segment of the market. Yeah, tell me about how you really focus on which clients and maybe a little bit about like where they're coming from and then where you get them to or their transformative results with your
Yeah,
clients.
sure. Yeah. So I love working with halos, healers, artists, light workers, others evolving consciousness. Love that. But I'm also very interested in working with everybody. And when marketing, we're like, oh, that's casting a huge net. Yeah, I'm casting a really big net. But the thing is anybody that's here to really do good, because we want to move everybody in that direction. Now, who's actually in leadership when you look on a global scale? It's small business. Small
Mm,
business is around 60% of the workforce of the world. So that is who is going to be driving and moving us towards this shift that we're talking about, the movement from the old world to new earth, as a lot of us are kind of coining it. And this is really the big thing that we've been talking about for a long time, is like wanting to move towards peace on earth. Now that sounds like super lofty. However, it is not. It is within grasp now. We are moving in that direction. And who will be leading the way? Small business owners, the people that are guiding and directing the companies that are under 500 employees. This will be the direction. The reason why that is because have you noticed that big business, big government doesn't seem to give a rip about moving us away from fear and separation and lack and moving us towards love, unity, and, abundance for all? No, they have not. They have not. So we're done waiting around for them and for, them to get it, because they're not going to. So that means it comes back on the shoulders of the people that actually really care about their fellow individuals, right? We care about our families and our kids and the worlds that they're growing up in and where we're moving towards. And it's going to be a bit of a bumpy process as we go through this. However, this is our way forward. This is how it will be done. And it's not lofty. It's not optimistic. This is what is happening. This is what's happening as it stands right now. Now, you could say, I'm delusional or optimistic. No, I think you can feel in my voice, hear in my voice, how absolutely sure I am of this. Will it be easy? No. But it's exciting because we finally get to do this. We finally get to move in this direction. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we are building towards these new kind of orders of businesses, and I think there's a certain amount of dismantling of the old structures that's going to be happening, like you said, with things refocusing into the importance of business. How do you see things like AI or these new tools? Like, what do you do in your business to help accelerate or incorporate? I know a lot of people, even in the spiritually aware community, have a lot of apprehensiveness about using AI and different tools. And I know we both use a certain, like we use the Now Site AI, or I use that in my marketing, and it helps me generate things. So are you also helping healers and people scale using these new technologies and everything that we're seeing on the market right now?
Yeah, I'm a person that I've been in business and all that is always using whatever is useful. If there's a way to utilize something and help make things simpler, I'm all about it. So
yeah,
AI can be very useful. Does that and I realize there's a lot of people that feel really concerned about it and all that, but let's take a look at how AI has been represented for the past however many years. Let's think all the way back to like Terminator, the original Terminator movie, right? When AI becomes conscious and then it just
To
starts
take over.
starts manufacturing its own everything.
That's a lot of fear-based programming inserted in our childhood right now.
Right. So we have that, and then that's out there, and people, and it's coming up for people.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
again, it's a very, very simple thing. So when we think about anything, is it based in fear and separation? Is it based in pitting us against each other in some way? Is it based in feeling afraid or we need to defend ourselves? Or is it based in a loving vibration, how we can utilize something, right? Or how we can come together.
Right.
And that's the very simple way of it. So should we be beating the drum of anything that's fear-based? No, because that's practicing the wrong vibration. That's practicing the wrong emotional frequency. That's practicing the wrong thing that we want to see on the planet. And we know no matter how you want to look at it, whatever you put your attention upon, that is what you're going to co-create. Race car drivers know this. You don't look at the corner, you look at where you're going. And then all of your micro movements, all of the everything moves you in that direction.
Right.
Right. And that's why a lot of times, like they say things like, don't put a flashing light on your bike, because if somebody's like intoxicated, they focus on it and drive straight to. Okay. So it's
a tractor, not a detractor.
Right. So that's the thing. It's whatever you put your attention upon, that's what you're going to move towards. That's what you're going to.
Where your attention goes, energy. Where energy goes, that's where your attention goes. Energy flows.
But even from a psychology perspective, again, reticular activating system. You're going to filter for more of whatever you put your attention upon. If you keep focusing on what doesn't work, what you don't want, you're just going to create and notice more of it. And this is all proven in science. It's not anything lofty or woo woo and all that. And also, I want to say one thing really fast just about the whole woo woo thing.
Yeah.
I really look at it as it's very simple. Like we have woo woos and we have pre woos. We got the people that are aware of it and the people that aren't yet aware of it. That's it. That's all we got. Really, honestly, whoever's listening, I respect whatever your viewpoint is, but honestly, when you really get down to it, we're all on the same journey here. And it is not, there is a spiritual element to this stuff, whatever you call that. That's how it's going.
Like there's, and just until there's an awareness or a certain, like, until it resonates with more and more of the consciousness that understands whatever way they're gonna understand it. But yeah, I think that's part of what I see and we talk about in the global consciousness awakening and the spiritual awakening process, and why this work is so important, and understanding our ascension process and all of that. And it sounds like a lot of the work you do is about helping with the laws of the universe, law of attraction, getting that working, but that it's more than just this ambiguous idea, but it's something that you can really work towards in the business and start to create and then deliver successful outcomes, right? So building towards those business goals and incorporating that spiritually led element is really so important to so many people. And it also sounds like you're doing a lot of work around building community. I know that you have you're a group, you were talking about different technologies using Telegram to create channels and groups and things. So yeah, tell me a little bit. We have Unity Consciousness and we're all in this as a collective. And I know you're doing a lot of work for everything in that direction, but tell me a little bit about the importance of the community building and how you're really creating that for your clients and for this process.
Yeah. Well, that is the big thing. It's all this whole movement is about us coming together. I can't really speak to it unless I speak to the negative aspect of it. And the negative aspect is really that they've really quite effectively kept us weak, busy, and separate.
Yeah.
Right. And so now it's time for us to take our power back, right? In all these different ways that we've been kept weak. And all the busy work, all this busy stuff, like most of the things we do is not necessary. Just it really isn't. And you can look at that as think about like all the red tape and all the dancing you have to do as far as business goes. Well, we didn't create that. Those were other organizations that came up with these complicated things. So the more that we look at finding ways to simplify things, which is like me taking marketing and making a nice little map and a nice little one-page marketing plan that can keep you anchored, and just kind of these basic little things that keep things nice and simple, but very effective and directed. Then we can really start taking our power back. Now, for us to do that, when you're just one person floating around in the ocean of life by yourself, you don't have a lot of power there. Yeah. As far as that goes. And we know from a lot of different things, like the #1 selling business book ever, Think and Grow Rich, right? We know that when we plug more than one consciousness in together, that's extremely powerful.
Right.
Now, it's actually exponentially powerful because when you talk about everybody has their own resistance and blocks, right? You could say, Rob, I want to be a billionaire, right? And you may have your own blocks and resistance to that, but I don't. I want to see you rolling in whatever $1 billion looks like for you. Like, I don't have any resistance towards that. And I can see you powerfully in that space. So when we come together in that regard, now we're plugging in consciousnesses, right? Right. And this has been quoted in lots of different scripture and things that has not been altered or messed with, or however you want to look at that. And it just really works. It's just very, very powerful, especially as we're moving forward. Because there's no way to look at anything as far as globally and not say things are changing in a very, very drastic way. Look at our past several years. Look at the past 3 years, right? What have we gone through?
Pandemic and everything.
All that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff. And there's more to come. I'm not saying more disease. I'm not saying more pandemic. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying a lot of the structures that were behind these different things, they are crumbling as we speak. That is also why I'm saying that the business owners and the solopreneurs and the people that are here to support in moving humanity towards what it is we want, towards strategy, that's why we're going to be the ones to do that. You're not going to see it come from the top. if you will. The top's going to go where it's going to go.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And so helping these business owners and people who are in this situation and who are consciously creating the new path, new earth. That work is so important. And I definitely believe that you have a lot of different, like I was on your website, and I know you have different offers and services. What are you really focused on right now? Like, how are you helping in this space? What's really driving you like right now to create for your clients and your community?
yeah, so I'm always tapping into where is the resonant flow? Where are things in flow? How do I stay in alignment with that? And so I'm really paying attention. And so it can ebb and flow as far as things go. Now, I'm overjoyed to work with people one-on-one, but I can only do so many people in that regard. And as this particular iteration of, I've been doing this for a while in lots of different forms and different ways, but as far as this particular business, I'm just spinning up. I'm like a week and a half in, which is also part of me showing how this stuff can work. Like, so as things grow as far as this business goes, that becomes then an example that other people can tap into and utilize that particular stream. So yeah, I'm more than happy to work with small business owners. I'll always love working with halos, anybody that's here to help evolve consciousness.
Right.
Because what I'm really seeing is that there's gonna continue to be people that are in the corporate world that as those mechanisms dismantle, they're going to be going into the workforce, and a lot of them are going to be moving towards being their own boss,
Right.
just out of necessity. But also there's all these people that have a burning passion in them, humanitarian projects, a ton of them. Like everybody's got their thing that is burning inside of them. So, and even if they're not aware of that, they felt like there's something that there's bigger they're supposed to do, and they just don't know what that is. I help them get clear about what that is. And then we put all the pieces in place quickly and get them moving, because I want to get people scaled as quickly as possible so that they can be in their divine, authentic sovereignty, right?
Yes.
We have been practicing codependency in our businesses and in our professions for a very long time. It is now, as we move into the space of autonomy, where we can actually make the decisions we need to for ourselves and our families and our businesses. It has to do with, from that place of like moving out of fear and moving into that wholeness within ourselves. Then from there, whatever we feel guided or inspired to do or build or create, then we just kind of can do it. Especially if after they've learned like a simplified system that works, because then they can just duplicate this all day long because everything as far as I have it, it works with other systems, but it's like product or offering specific, and then specific star client specific, or specific. It's that pairing, and then the messaging and the funnel that we create, the pathway for them actually saying yes, or qualifying the people that are a good fit for your particular business. Then it becomes this nice, simple, streamlined thing. It's like I don't have any extra fluff in there. And then you plug it in where you're in resonance with what works for you.
Right.
And whatever that is.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it sounds like you do more than just like run the ads or certain one piece. You really become involved to build out the systems and everything that's needed for the whole business, basically. It sounds like from what you do, right?
Yes, from the regards of like teaching somebody how to fish. So if I just do the fishing for them, then they can't teach other people, they can't grow other businesses, they won't know what to do, right? So I'm not only, as we're building it together, if I'm working one-on-one with them, or we're doing a group build kind of a thing for their business, they're getting the steps, they're getting the core things, but they're also learning a system that they can reproduce, right? Teach them how to fish, because we've got a huge planet. There's a lot of people out there, right? And if I'm maxed out at working one-on-one with, say, like 6-8 people a week, this is weird.
Yeah, I'd raised the hand. Sorry.
Oh, you did that? Okay.
No, I think it detected your
does it do
your
that?
hand raised when you did that.
Oh,
now.
I can't get it to repeat. But yeah, so it's about creating systems, because I want the growth to go viral in and of itself, because it's an educational process as far as this refined system. And When you look at a lot of different things as far as old world marketing, old world sales, stuff like that, it's complicate to profit, right? I'm not complicating anything. I'm simplifying everything down to its core elements. And
Yeah,
then
you've mentioned a little bit about alternative ways of generating business that aren't linked, I don't know, to maybe the major social media platforms or things like that, that people, because everyone has a certain strategy. Do you help people with all like other ways that aren't reliant on some of the problematic issues we're having on social media with shadow banning and things like that?
yeah, I'm working on some different things to support people in that space. But I
Mhm.
think the thing to say about it is like as we build a plan, it's almost like choose your own adventure. So we're paying attention to what they're in alignment with. Okay, so we may have 21 different categories that we're going to go ahead and explore quickly, but then I'm going to be paying attention to them and looking at what is their nonverbals telling me. What is the energy of it? Where is it in alignment for them about what's going to get the movement in the quickest, most effective way possible? Because
Mhm.
we're not about extending or getting somebody to book another month's worth of coaching sessions,
Mhm.
X amount of dollars. We're about affecting change as quickly as possible so that they
Mhm.
can get the growth, so that they can move on and do other things that they need to. Because
Okay.
the sooner we can, it's not to say I'm trying to rush people, but we want to get into alignment and flow with
Right.
whatever works for them. Now, some people are into speaking, or like public speaking or networking or something like that. Other people aren't,
Yeah.
and so we're looking at basically, again, what is the outcome, because that's going to inform everything else. And then we figure out what is going to work. Where's the low hanging fruit? What is the quickest path to be in grace, flow, and ease with generating this outcome that they want?
Right, right. Yeah, because people have to be in alignment with what their natively, like their skill sets are, right? We have all different personality tests and things where you can, where your strengths are and what you should focus on or what type of character persona you are. And
Right.
so you help people basically identify, because I know with me, as I've been building up my spirituality consulting services, it's kind of like, there's a lot going on in the coaching world, and whether or not I'm like spiritually coaching people or going to launch offers to do that, but then I don't feel as an alignment in that area as I do say interviewing instead. So there's different things as you're growing a business where you have to be discerning on where your authentic energy is, because if you get too distracted and pulled, that's when we see the problem where, especially with light workers and healers, like it's just they're trying all the different things at the same time, and you get light worker burnout, right?
Yep.
Healers, and they're all getting burned out, and they you can't grow and scale. So that is a big challenge, to really focus in on the best, like this overall strategy, and then what the best tactic is at the right time versus being
Right.
all over the place, right?
Right. So when they work with me one-on-one or in a group or something like that, it's giving them a tool set, right? Is
Mm,
the big thing. And then they figure out what tool is going to work in that particular moment, where they
okay.
have all these tools in their, I don't want to use a word like arsenal, but we'll just say toolbox. They have all these
Yeah.
different marketing, business growth tools in their toolbox that they can utilize, because anybody that's grown a business to any kind of extent knows things change quite a bit. And especially
Hmm.
as we move forward, you want to be able to adapt and all that.
Right.
But that's why I kind of keep coming back to the biggest tool and thing is this. It's disabling the autopilot. And I have systems that work very effectively at doing that. Once you have that in place, then you're able to like predict, adapt, adjust,
Hmm.
innovate, these things that keep a business alive
Right.
and growing. But
Right.
if whoever's steering it, now whether that's the business owner themselves, CEO, small team, whatever, it's their consciousness that is either growing or limiting the business, because
Mm,
they're the ones that's steering the bus. Okay. And if they're on autopilot, they're just steering it in whatever they currently have going on
yeah.
there. And a lot of the stuff with the halos or the spiritual minded people, entrepreneurs, why a lot of those things haven't worked for them is because they're not in alignment with old world stuff. So you can't give them something that is just out of alignment, because they don't
Right.
resonate with it. So that's
Right.
why it's really important that we get very clear, make sure everything's in alignment, and then we do everything from, if they're open to it, on the energetic level, getting everything aligned all the way from the 12D all the way to manifested physical reality, what they came here to do. Now they're super passionate. They have the tools in their chest, in their tool chest.
Right.
They're rolling out of bed. They're excited every morning, and they're doing the work they came here to do. That is what I want to see for everyone. That's how everybody's life should be, if they're open to it, if that's what they want, you know.
Yes.
And there's not much else as far as like really living in your purpose and passion, peak experience stuff. And that's what I feel is what is destined for all of us as soon as people get in alignment with it.
In alignment, right. That's what we've been talking about so much lately. Everyone, it's all about that, and regulating, like we talked about at the beginning, and understanding how to even, have your guidance system honed in on the right choices that you're going to be making, and getting support for that in the process. It's so important with all coaching, and especially business coaching and scaling, when we're talking about attracting ideal clients and working with all of the strategies there that are really complicated in this process. So the work you do is amazing, Rob. I love it. And I know that we have maybe some light workers or spiritually led business owners listening. And so where do people find you if they want to get more information about the work you do? I know you have some, like obviously LinkedIn and your website. Where do you like people to go to find you?
Well, I would really say for them to check out like consciouspros.org first and see if it resonates, if it's in alignment.
Awesome.
I don't work with just everybody. They definitely need to be doing good in the world, or at least be open to the idea. I'm not about dragging people through the mud or trying to convince them of something that they're not in alignment for. That's not fun for anybody. So I don't do that. So, check out the stuff, see if it's resonant for you. If it is, let's explore it. And see if we're both a yes. If we're both a yes, then we can move forward. And that's really how I see all business and relationship and everything, really, as far as we're moving forward. That's what it should be. It's two people that are in alignment, and then you can co-create from there, whatever that is, in business, with your clients, all that kind of stuff. So I would say just check out the website, and then you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, things like that. But I'm
book a call.
Right. I'm not going to be the guy that's like doing the standard sales kind of jazz, because it's more about like, who's a good fit.
Right.
Who's a good fit. If we're not a good fit, awesome, great. That's great information. Go find something that is. Go find somebody that is.
Yes.
But if you
have to be in alignment, finding the best person to work with at the right time in this process. And definitely we're going to have your links to your website and all of your LinkedIn and everything down below in the episode notes and all of that. So that's awesome. Any final thoughts or last words of wisdom that you'd like to kind of share with the audience before we wrap up here? Anything you'd like to leave us with, and how you're impacting the world?
Gosh, wow. That's a big one. I really just want people to, when you talk about advanced communication, when you talk about who's actually steering in boardrooms, when you talk about the top level, it always comes down to breathing. It really, really does. And that sounds bizarre. Michael Grinder, world expert, nonverbal communication. He deals with what he calls big cats all the time, big CEOs, people that have been steering this planet, stuff like that. He always says, his words, whoever's breathing the slowest and lowest in the room will control the room. When you talk about relationship and like, you need communication, what is the number one thing that you must do in communication? Breathe low, slow and low. You have to be in that relaxed state. If you're a CEO responsible for a lot of people, breathing low. This is the space to where you can see what's ahead. Because if you're only seeing 5% of the picture, you're not going to get very far. And so if you're here now, for people that aren't really doing good in the world, they're naturally high breathing all the time. They're in fear.
Dysregulate, like anger is a driving energy or whatever.
Right. And so, but it's like, we want to get up. Now, if somebody's in a lower vibrational state, or like, shame or guilt, two lowest energies, vibrations that you can kind of be in, anger is a step up from that. You're always just trying to breathe and get to the next step up.
Right.
And you're not trying to go right to the top. I'm not going to shoot to enlightenment. No, I'm going to go the next step up. But The one thing that I would just leave people with is just that if you can breathe slow and low, right? Like 16 times a day, it takes you a minute to do 3 breaths. If you do really slow and low breaths, we're talking 16 minutes out of your day, your life will transform.
Really? That's
It will
amazing.
transform.
It's like everything is connected to breath. We hear that breath meditation, breath work, but yeah, so you do it three times, three breaths, 16 breaths in a day, you said.
Yeah. So I have people breathe in for 6, hold for 3, out for 9. So that's just kind of the breath that I have been having people do. You want to breathe, exhale longer, but do nice slow breath in, hold for a tiny bit, and then exhale out.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's the base state. And if you can do that, you can really start to shift things. Now, I also have people put their attention on what they're grateful for when they have that resourceful physiology going. Now you're retraining your reticular activating system. It improves things
like
significantly.
Yeah, from gratitude. It's wired in. That's
the
how
other
it's
thing
wired
that
in.
the other thing that it shows you is how programmed you are. Because if you can't, like, everybody can alter their breathing, right? Even if you have a crushed diaphragm, what are you supposed to do? You breathe deep. You're breathing deep anyways, right? So everything is breathing deep. You want to breathe deep in that particular space. And then from there, shift your focus, put your focus on what you appreciate, what you like.
Yeah. And then that energy goes there. Yeah. It's activated. Amazing. Oh my gosh, Rob, I love it. Thank you so much for that wonderful, like, the tips and tricks that we can use to implement and people can do on a daily basis. Cause I always, different people say all kinds of things, but it's usually meditation, affirmations, breath work. That's all excellent. And I think, yeah, definitely common theme that we can do to just improve our life in general. So that's awesome. And yeah, I'm excited about the work you're doing. And I know you have different programs and offers launching to do this work now, especially as we're ramping up into new earth trajectory and into the 5th dimension and everything that's going to come with these improved vibrational energies that we're being hit with every day. So I'm so excited that you were on the show today, and I'm glad that you were able to share all about the Conscious Pros business model, where you guys are really activating these energies and getting the growth going and getting the scaling. It's very excited to hear about. Very exciting.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, we hope to have you again soon. Thanks so much, Rob. And we'll see you in the future in the next episode. Okay. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.